I could conceive that it could be, yeah. You asked, do I think? I don't really have an opinion whether it will or won't, but I could see it go either way. Well, I mean, like John Seed said to me, it's too late as far as the rainforests are concerned. He says the inertia is too great in the whole system. It's too late. So I said, okay, John. I mean, it was the first time somebody said it to me just like that. He said, it would take a miracle. I said, oh, that threw me back on whatever that was. And then he said, but after all, he said, we came up out of the ocean and came onto land. He said, we have quite a lineage of miracles. I wouldn't underestimate it. That was a nice one.
Well, so my question to you is, are psychedelics a miracle?
Psychedelics are a miracle, yes. They may not be the only miracle.
Are they the miracle we need?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I think they may have already done what they were to do.
Really? That's interesting.
I think
I've never heard anybody
I think
say
what is done is so much more powerful than anybody yet recognizes. See, I see all this destruction is just the process of transformation. The question is whether they'll keep it together in the process of transformation. And that's why all I'm interested in doing is becoming a person and helping others become a person who, in the process of the dramatic stuff, will keep some equanimity and there's some love and some presence in that process. But that's, psychedelics may play a role in that. Mm-hmm. So you're right, that comes back to your question.
Well, see, my assumption in trying to think about thousands of psychedelic trips rather than just mine, what they seem to do generically is they seem to dissolve boundaries.
Yes.
And the ego is in the business of creating, maintaining, and defending boundaries. So I really see the psychedelics as directly intervening in the core process which is running us over the edge, which is our inability to emotionally connect with the consequences of what we're doing. If for a single moment we could feel what we're doing, we would stop.
I understand.
But we do not.
It's interesting because you take images that all of us know of the girl running down the street naked in Cambodia, mm-hmm. you know, or something like that. And we say that wasn't strong enough. It won the Life of the Year award, but it wasn't strong enough. It didn't stop everybody and say, holy shit, what are we doing here? You know? So what would be strong enough to do that? And you say, well, psychedelics, but it's in a one-on-one thing. I mean, we're talking major game players at this moment. Mm-hmm. Put China into your computer. You know?
How do you deal with that?
I mean, either you're spraying it, or it's water, or it's some other level of consciousness that does it. There is a certain level of trauma that's possible that can soften the ground. Right? Not 3 Mile Island and not Chernobyl, but I mean, I don't want to create this with my mind, but I can imagine a certain trauma, like in Marin when they ran out of water. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. Suddenly all the ego barriers and everything, and neighbors were talking who'd never even met each other.
People were taking
showers
together.
A whole process was happening. I'm sure marriages, babies were conceived, everything as a result of that trauma, of that denial. So a massive, significant trauma. I just got to tell you one scary image. There's a saint in India who lived up to about 1930, I think, or something. And one of his devotees said to me, one night he was sort of looking off in the distance, and he said, there'll come a time, he said, when you'll walk 5 miles, and he said, you'll sight the light from a fire of another person, and you'll be so happy to know another person exists.
Quite a prediction.
Isn't that quite a prediction? Yeah. It's in there. It's just in there somewhere, you know.
Interesting. Yes, well, I agree. I think that what's going to happen is that...
Gentlemen, everything is fine with the evolution of coffee and consciousness. Both very good with you too.
You have come just at the right time.
Yes,
this is just what I want. How did you know? You tuned into a higher level.
A higher level. Higher level. High, very high. Yes. Bohemian mushroom soup today. You know? Or you are eating.
We were just talking about that.
Oh yes, you like Bohemian mushroom soup?
I like
Let me
mushroom.
sprinkle liberally some water on your chalice, sir.
Oh, please
That is,
liberally
this one.
sprinkle his chalice,
Yes.
for sure.
Very good.
I am a
And,
cellist, so it's fine if you wish to.
Oh, I know you by your true name. You're Mr. Chalice, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Very good. You also some water in your... No. I was confused. Let me put this here. And have fun with the shaman strudel. Bohemian, very good.
Thank you
You
very much.
call when things are getting dangerous.
I'll call you.
I'll be right back.
Not to worry.
Good, good.
Can I ask you a personal question?
You can ask me anything you'd like, Terence.
It's not a personal question to you, it's a personal question from me. How do you like having the projection of special identity constantly laid on you?
It's a sadhana. It's my practice.
That's a good answer. Although you didn't say how you liked it.
I like it to the capacity I have to transpose it. If I can't, I mean, sometimes these are going very fast, and to just keep it transposed, then I love it. I love it. It's like a fire. If the minute I start to lose it, it's a fucking drag. It really is. Because, I mean, you know, I was in a situation in Miami where all these women with blue eyes and coiffured hair were grabbing at the buttons of my jacket. And I thought, oh, I don't want this. Whatever this life is, I don't want to be part of this. I mean, this is, they eat your flesh, finally.
Sure.
But I realize at any time, I can walk away from it. And it's my, you know, I'm a free agent.
So do you never get in a situation where you say, gee, I'd like to do X, but Ram Dass would never do that?
My stock and trade, or my coinage, is in sharing just those predicaments publicly. See, I've turned it into, right?
You've managed to, but public confession is the subtlest form of wastrelry.
Of what story? Yes.
I do it myself. Say, I'm not a good guy, don't follow me, I'm a bad guy. Then I leave the stage and say, now I can really be a bad guy.
Come up and see my holy pictures. That's one of my lines in my lecture. I'll tell you, I only see the stuff that would disturb me is inside myself. It has nothing to do with out there. Out there is just being what it is, and I'm responding with my own stuff. And if my stuff is my enemy, it's going to get too much for me. And if it isn't, you know, depends on how much I can consume it, joyfully participate in it, passionately, all of it.
Well, you've sort of achieved a unique synthesis. I mean, you're almost a secular holy man, because I don't care much about what you believe or who you light candles to. Basically, I think I heard you describe yourself once as a kind man. And you've gotten incredible mileage out of that because there are so few.
It's far out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is...
Well, when you talked about coming back into the boundarylessness, to me, that's the whole quality of compassion. Has that boundarylessness to it. It's that your suffering's my suffering, and your joy's my suffering, and you are me, and here we are. And if you hurt, I'm responding to your hurt, not because I'm a good guy and you're needful, just because this is suffering, and this is the response to suffering, and we're both part of the same thing. And that's the way I like to play it from. That's, to me, it's like riding a wave. It's the joy of just being part of the force of compassion in the universe.
Well, when you look, you mentioned in your talk the other night, since some people think the 90s are going to be a second turn of the spiral, I observed the 60s as a spear-carrying 14-year-old. I was down in the masses. What were the mistakes that are avoidable if there's a second chance?
They're inevitably going to be avoided. The first mistake was idealism. The first mistake, and the mistake was thinking that because you had seen it You could just go like that and everybody else would see it. And you could just say, it's all love, and then everybody would love. I mean, it was a naivete. It was naivete. It was not working on ourselves deeply enough to be without the clinging of mind that made us try to use it. It was our lurking righteousness that got in our way.
Can you make a revolution, though, without an inner righteousness?
That's the far-out question of where would the action come from? And there's this line in Buddhism that says, out of emptiness arises compassion. And what I experience is that there is a way in which I can sit down in front of a truck or feed a person or go make love or go surf, and there is an appropriateness in every one of those acts. And for me to hear that, I've really got to shut up. And my work is to keep shutting up, to hear which one it is. And if it is a revolution, so be it. Mm-hmm. So be it. You know the story of the monk and the army general? You know, and the army general's disemboweling all the monks? And his reputation has spread far and wide as a cruel, cruel man. And he comes into this village and he says to his adjutant, tell me what's happening. And the adjutant said, all the people are frightened, they're bowing down to you. All the monks in the monastery have fled to the hills but one monk. And the general is outraged about this one monk. And he gets up and he goes to the monastery and he pushes open the doors of the monastery and he walks into the courtyard, and there's the monk standing in the middle of the courtyard. And he walks up to him and he says, don't you know who I am? I could take my sword and run it through your belly without blinking an eye. And don't you know who I am? I could have your sword run through my belly without blinking an eye. That's great. That's the place from which revolutions can heal, rather than just starting the cycle all over again.
Then this is the place we never found in the 60s. Mm-mm. I mean, I've always said it was all well and good.
We reduced it to revolution, and although we had the taste of evolution, we reduced it to revolution.
Well, and the day they came with machine guns, we didn't stand like that monk. Everybody said, oh my God, you could get killed playing this game. And I flew to Laos and India for 3 years.
But already we had produced the they by being so busy being we.
True.
Because so that they even noticed we. The fact that they noticed us was because we were busy making statements instead of just being it.
So maybe, I mean, this is just occurring to me, that being in a place like Prague, the real thing we have to learn here is how to make velvet revolutions, non-confrontational.
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's why I admire Havel so much. That's why he's way up there in my, because he's a compassionate leader. He's got wisdom, not just knowledge. He is tuned. There's a quality of his heart that feels present. And he said in this op-ed article, I just read his letter last month.
I read it too.
And you know, at one point he said we have to allow the naturalness to come back, the personal stuff, the heart stuff. I mean, he was right there with all of the.
Do you see, I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I